Well, good afternoon. We're happy to go on with our next segment, and let's just bow our heads for prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful day. Please be with us by your Holy Spirit as we continue, and please be with those who are fighting the fire too. May property be saved, and bless us in understanding how we can best help others to be able to write and read, that they may know your word. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right. Now I've asked my son Christopher if he will sing this song for you. It's one little children often enjoy, but it has some good principles in it, so try to listen to the words.
In the house and out of doors, scrubbing pots and sweeping floors, washing, ironing, mending too, these are things that I can do. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus, for he's done so much for me. In the house and out of doors, chopping wood and doing chores, pounding nails or driving screws, these are things that I can do. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus, for he's done so much for me. In my study through the week, keep me, Lord, both pure and meek, doing lessons neatly too, hard or easy, help me through. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus. I'll do it all for Jesus, for he's done so much for me.
Thank you. That's a little song that tells us about how doing all of our chores can be done for Jesus, and even our study, doing our lessons, whether they're hard or easy. All right. Now, I have one more little story I wanted to tell you. I met Marlene about 3 years ago, and her oldest child was 6 at the time, and she had a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and she was almost ready to have a new baby. So they were looking for something for school for their oldest child. And so this was at a camp meeting, and she saw a creation reading course there, and she said, that's what we want. We want it based on the Bible. We want them to have a biblical curriculum. And so they talked it over between them and decided they would buy the kit. So they did. And it was time for school to begin shortly after camp meeting, so they started in on it right away with their oldest daughter. Well, of course, little sisters sometimes are curious too. So her little sister, Nina, came to learn too. But the oldest girl, Angela, was just eager to get into it and see how to learn. So anyway, Mother looked the whole program over and said, yes, let's finish it in this school year, 9 months. And so she divided it up and figured mathematically how much they needed to do and figured they'll get it done in 9 months. And even though in my mind these are the very first basic level skills, that was a little bit too fast for this girl. So after a few months, Mother called up and said, Angela's not doing so well. And I said, what's the matter? And she said, well, she's just kind of losing interest in her schoolwork and lagging along and not taking the pride in it I'd like to see her take. And I said, oh. I said, well, you know, if a child's not prepared beforehand, they need that preparation time. And then once they start, we need to take it at a leisurely pace so they can really enjoy the experience and do a good, thorough job. So if it takes her 2 years to finish the course, no problem, you know. But this mother was very dedicated, and Marlene just said, oh, sigh of relief. I don't have to finish it this year? I said, no way. You know, it's largely ungraded, and we need to go by the children's needs. So anyhow, she relaxed, took 2 years to finish the course, and her daughter was fine, happy. But still, I could see just a tinge of the effects of rushing her at first. I was a little too fast. Well, this family are very hard workers, and you know, they just really get in and do it when they're doing it. But still, these little ones need to take it leisurely enough so they can enjoy and thoroughly understand and do a good job. So different families, different children have different issues, you know. And she was just a diligent teacher and all. So as she was teaching Angela, the next little girl, Nina, was only 4 when she started. Well, she just kind of hung around where Mother was teaching Angela, and before long she was reading, just listening to these lessons. She wasn't doing any handwriting. She was just listening, letting it sink in. And yeah, I can do that, she thought. But anyway, she was only 4. And so soon she was reading with no effort, no pressure on her, no requirements on her. But she had a mind that would pick that up. Then her mother said, but you know, she shows no readiness for handwriting yet. Maybe doing a little coloring, but you know, she's just not ready. So I said, no problem, just let her wait, that's fine. So she waited until Nina was 6, and now Angela was 8, yes. And so then she started Nina on the handwriting part, which she, you know, making sure she knew all the phonograms well, and she was getting the handwriting down. And her handwriting has looked beautiful. And they sent me a recording of her reading, too, when she's 6. And a lot better than a lot of 8-year-olds. You know, she was just very with it. But, you know, children differ so much. But she's been enjoying it, reads from the Bible for family worship and everything, you know. So I've just been pleased. But the last I heard from Marlene, she said, that her next one, which is a little boy, just doesn't show signs of maturity enough yet. And then I talked to her 6 months later, and she said, you know what? He's showing some. But, the previous time she said he wasn't. But now he's showing some readiness. He's drawing and he's coloring nicely. And she says, I think he's coming along. Maybe next fall he'll be ready. And so sure enough, he's ready to do those oral exercises, next fall. So it's amazing how the children can change in just a few months. But I do not believe that Nina's been hurt at all by learning to read so early. No pressure, no requirements. But her mother was wise enough to know not to assign her to handwriting so early when she, that would have been pressure for her. So we each need to judge our children. And I have the quote here somewhere from Ellen White, and it says, some children, it's in, let's see, it's in that one, there they are, manuscript releases, thank you. Manuscript releases in this chapter called Counsel Regarding Age of School Entrance. And it was from St. Helena Sanitarium. But she says, some children are as ready to learn and be taught in these areas when they are 5 as others are when they're 10. So we just need to take children at their own pace. But a child wants to learn. I have full confidence in it. But compulsory schooling can kind of kill that out of them. So we don't want to pressure or make it too rushed for them. We want to savor it. We want to enjoy it. Okay. And then I have 3 books here by one author. I just wanted to tell you about him a little. He's not a Christian, but toward the end of his life, he was seeking Christ for himself. And I got to send him the book Education. But anyway, his books were such a blessing to me because you can sense his heart, his love for children through them. But we have, I believe this was his first book, yes. Dumbing Us Down, it's called, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling. He was a public school teacher for 30 years, and they gave him the awards of Teacher of the Year for New York City and New York State. I believe that was 1991. But anyway, his books are very thought-provoking, to say the least. And this one, Weapons of Mass Instruction, he's just bringing out how the elite have a conspiracy to dumb people down. And it makes me think of Ellen White's quote in Great Controversy, where she says, it's yet to be seen that a day of great intellectual information, light, is just as favorable for the papacy as a day of darkness like the Middle Ages when the Bible was totally unavailable. We have the Bible now, but what makes it so inaccessible to people? Well, they shut it out of the schools, and, there's that problem, but there's also the problem how many families have family worship, and then there's other problems, and that's not knowing how to read. Don't you agree? Not knowing how to read closes the book to us. It blinds us. We can't get the message. And then this is his big book called Underground History of American Education. And this, he has a picture of the hallways in the public school saying this is where our children spend the best hours of every day. But how is this going to help their minds expand? Desire to learn. And then the whole way they carried on is just a major problem. But this is the actual corridor on which the author spent much of his adult life, this picture. But he has pictures of lots of the children he taught. And it's a heartwarming but heartbreaking story at the same time. But there's one chapter that relates to what I'm doing especially, and it's called Eyeless in Gaza. Who do you think he's referring to? Samson, right? He was a judge that God appointed. Careful prenatal care, right? But he got sidetracked, right? And so then his power was gone. His eyes were poked out, and he was put to grinding grain for the enemies, right, of God's people. But he's saying that if we do not know how to read, if our children don't know how to read, we're just geese to be plucked. But back in early America, people knew that reading was like Samson's locks. When did God give him power? When he had his long hair, right? His Nazarite vow. And the best way to learn to read is by rigorous discussion of good reading material. The Bible is it. But anyway, it obliges you to formulate a position and support it against objections. It is the operational definition of education in its most fundamental civilized sense. Reading, analysis, and discussion are the ways we develop reliable judgment. The principal way we come to penetrate covert movements behind the facade of public appearances. Without the ability to read and argue, we're just geese to be plucked. He's pretty graphic in his... But anyway, he tells about his own experience, where he came from. His Green River, the Monongahela, he tells about. Okay. And then, you've probably all seen this book before, but this is a very valuable book. This is one that started me off on this multisensory method and writing your way into reading. And I've really appreciated her insights. But at the same time, this book isn't, it's not putting God first. And once you learn to read, it leads you right into fiction and whatever, reading whatever. But if we don't help our children choose good reading and plant those good thoughts in their minds, like we read about earlier, it's just a problem. So we want to have the best reading. And then Alessandra was urging me on this one, better late than early. Yes, I will agree there are things that are better late than early, and that's exposure to evil. A wrong approach to reading, yes. The later, the better. But most of our children are exposed to the wrong method early, and it's not a blessing to them. All this word memorization, never learn to write properly, don't learn your phonograms, or you just learn few scattered sounds, and the rest you're ignorant of, no spelling rules or almost none. It's better late than early to do that because it messes your brain up. And it just makes for a problem in life. But if you get the right approach, just Bible-based, simple, and learn that handwriting slowly and carefully, little children enjoy that. They really do. They enjoy it, and they don't need to be highly pressured. But they can still gain valuable skills early in life, like God says. Very early, children should be trained in these things. So I just praise God that we have something good. And this study that was done, actually myself and my siblings were involved in his research projects. Our family was. And so I knew about this ever since whatever. You know, I was little. But my siblings and I have talked it over, and at present, my sisters are just thrilled with what I found in these lines, making it a biblical approach to writing and reading, using the sound principles of how to approach it. And they tell me when I talk to them about it, oh, I wish we had been taught that way when we were little. I wish we had. But now the Lord's provided it. So we have a gift. We have a blessing. And that's why I've written some things and prepared some things, just because we want to share. Anyway, and this is another book got from Country Garden School, but it shows all about what's been done in our country to social engineer through the educational system. And it's really heartbreaking, I think. Anyway, and there's one more little book I wanted to show you here. And this one is also not written by a Christian person, but it has some valuable principles in it. Drawing on the right side of the brain. Well, this is more your creative side of the brain, your right side. So this has valuable principles, and she's helping people draw. But I compare it to handwriting. These little cursive letters, these are the pictures we draw for the phonograms, right? The phonemes are all illustrated by these little pictures. So we need to help our children learn to draw these little pictures correctly. And then the sounds relate to those correct little pictures. It's so nice. Okay, so I have Alessandra here to play a game with me. We have our games. I don't know if the camera can see this. You think? Okay, we have this little beginner game, and we can even play this one with some of our preschoolers if we want to. This is the phonogram sounds, which they're supposed to be learning in their preschool time with this program. And this little one can be played easily with 2 to 4 players. But I thought maybe I'll play it with Alessandra, and I don't know just how we can, get a picture of it, but we'll try to show you anyway. How's that? And this is our first one, and it's for those early ones. The Sound It game is for those who are learning to do their handwriting now. And it's the same ones, only a little more detail in there. Then we have the Sound and Phrase It. This is for the children who are getting into their spelling. And so this is the multi-letter phonograms. But they can start it earlier. It's fine if they start it earlier. And so we have these 3 games. And then I also have a math game. And this math game is actually kind of a big one. It's 4 games in one. And so this game, we have 2 sets of instructions, and we have the cards that go with each game. But our first game, is the Add It. And the Add It game can be started with pretty young ones, like preschool, where they're adding 1 plus 3 and 2 plus 2 and so on, 1 plus 0. And when they get, so they can put the cards on fine for these first 6 little sums or something, and that's easy for them. Then they can start learning the rest, but just play it by ear for the child, you know. And then when they get this one done really well, then we play the Double It game. Double It, you have the little cards to put on for double each of the numbers or something. So, and then the Half It is just the other way. And this really helps the children to think and figure in bigger numbers, which is very helpful. And then the last one we have is Times It. So they can drill on their multiplication tables, the most basic facts. And then our little booklet shows how to, we have one on thinking and figuring, and one is just the specific directions for each one. But this is teaching you how to think so that you can figure these things in your head without having to write them down on paper even. And it's very helpful. I know I did it with my children when they were little, and Christopher's like, yeah, that was a good way. It got the idea in my mind. So I like this game. It's simple, but it's quite effective. Okay, I'm going to move these books off, and then we will be ready for a little game here. We probably should have a couple chairs. Thank you, dear. All right. Very good. Okay. Now, should I be on that side or this side to play it? Either way. Might be easier over here for me if you can see. Over here, you think? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We'll do it fine here. Okay. So, shall we do the first one first? Sure. Alessandra's been learning these with her daughter, so it's not all totally new to her. Okay. Here's our game instructions. And we only have 3 games to play with this one. So we have the happy face. That's if you get all the sounds right. And we have the numbers, and that's how many sounds each phonogram makes. And then we have little characteristics of these letters that you need to remember for handwriting. Okay, let's do the numbers first. Alessandra,
let's pick the number
1. We might give you number 4, right? So, I like to start out with the biggest numbers. Okay, the biggest numbers. And since there's only 2 of us here, we will just take turns, okay? And so what we do is say all the sounds that belong to the letter, and we put our card on if we get it right, okay? But if we don't know it, then the other player has to have a turn. And then if they don't get it, we're going to have to clarify everything according to our phonogram, our summary of the phonograms. Okay, so would you like to go first?
You can
This
go
is the hard.
first.
Oh, I can go first. Okay.
I
Okay.
love
Our
number
first
4.
one, and we'll just take a card each. Okay. Our first one is A, U, U, U. And that's right there.
Okay. A, A.
Very good. And this one is A, O, U.
Oh, I should have done that one. It's been a while since I played that game. Oh,
Oh, yes. We
is it
need you.
on?
You may need to turn it on. Is it coming through for her? Okay. They can hear you.
Okay. Ja, E, I.
Very good. Okay. Now we're down to two sounds each. So we only have 4 cards on so far, so that was easy, wasn't it? Okay.
Mhm.
So now we're to 2 sounds each. So there's k, s.
S, Z.
Very good. The next one, I see. Okay. E, E.
Okay. G, J.
And let's see. 2 sounds. Oh, right there.
Right there.
I.
All right. Got you there.
Now we're down to 1, so all the rest of them only make 1 sound. So let's see if we can remember them. B. D. Louder. There you go. Okay. J.
Got all down voice ones. Z.
O.
V.
R.
X.
Must put 2 down somewhere. Just add 2 stick together. Anyway.
It's okay.
Okay. Ku. And the last one
I'll let you say the last one.
is oo. Ooh. All right. So, there's the game. We want to get so we can play this really quickly and just, we were doing it slowly for you here. Okay. So now we'll pick these up. We can put these away. So there's 2 more games here, but they're played much the same as the next one. Yes, let's try doing the sounded one. You found it? Oh, very nice. We're going to get.
Okay. I can get that one.
Let's do a different one than the
Mhm.
numbers this
Yes.
time.
Would you like to come and play with us?
Yes, you know them, don't you? You could come and play
get a
if we just get 1 more chair. And 1 more mic.
I can help.
Okay.
Which one are we going to do?
Shall we just do happy face?
This
This
one,
Okay. Or would you rather do that one than this one?
yeah, let's make it harder.
Okay, let's make a harder one. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Amy.
It's been a while, so
That's fine. They're just so useful. All right, for this game, we need to put them in two piles.
them see the,
Oh, right.
because we can
Can you read them upside down? Okay. So we have two piles. Whoops. Here.
I'll get the hardest one here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
It's like a hard
Yes.
Well, if you don't know.
If you don't know it, maybe it is. All right. Now these are for the voiced sounds, and they have a picture of the voice box on there and the vocal cords. And this one is just this boy is kind of blowing like so our unvoiced sounds are just air. We don't voice them. So that's the difference. And then this one has an unvoiced sound and a voiced sound, and there's only one alphabet letter that's that way. So you have to figure out which one it is.
racking my brain.
Okay. Alessandra remembers. Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to start, Amy? You can take whichever one you want and say the sounds.
Voice,
Say all the
voice or
sounds in
voice?
order.
And this has both.
Mm-hmm. And
So I've never played this before. So if I pick k, s, then it would be a voiced, correct?
no, that's an
That's the
unvoiced one.
There's no voice
Mhm.
in that one.
No voice.
Okay, no
Just
voice. So
air.
k, s.
All right. Good.
Very good.
Good.
Oh.
Okay, Allison.
S, z.
Right. Do you hear the unvoiced and the voiced difference? Very good. I'm going to choose a voiced one, and that is E. Okay, Amy's turn.
Okay, so now like t,
Right.
would that be voiced?
That's the unvoiced.
Okay, so maybe I need a definition of what's voiced and unvoiced.
The unvoiced are the ones that you can do when you're whispering.
Okay.
So you're
You can say them distinctly whispering. But the voiced ones are the ones that really do not come out so well without a voice. Try saying this one without any voice. That's voiced.
okay.
But if you say, that's unvoiced. But it's very difficult to hear.
Mhm.
Okay.
This one.
All of our vowels.
Zip.
Yes.
That's right.
And this
It's the
one,
same sound, but
it's the
this is-
same sound.
And then the b, you have
Is
the
voice.
voice.
And this one is what? Unvoiced.
Voice.
But what about this one? You put your
The
tongue, I mean your, right, your teeth and your lip in the same place for that one. But
So-
it's
So could
voiced.
I think of this as like a motor sound?
You could.
Kind of like
It's your voice sound.
Comes from the
but it's kind of like boy motor sounds, seems
Yes,
like.
yes. This one is, this one, do you hear this
Yeah.
voice coming
Mhm.
through? On this one, but this one, no voice.
most of them are voice, so it's easy
Right.
to look for the own voice. First.
All right, you can try
Okay,
that
so
again.
again, so d, would that be voiced?
That's
Yes.
right.
Okay.
That's voiced. Mhm.
So you take all
Very
the easy
good.
ones.
I.
G.
Very good.
Yes.
G, j, 2 sounds.
G. J.
Mm-hmm.
K.
Good.
See, for this one is K.
But the difference between them is this one has 2 sounds.
Two sounds.
This one has 1 sound.
Yeah.
So if it's k, s, you know it's C. If
See,
it's
the
k,
Z on this
it's
one is
K.
the voiced one.
it's the same as this one.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
So put that one on. Z.
Mm. Uh-huh. Okay, Amy's turn.
So I'm going to pick another easy one. R.
Mm.
Very good.
There's only
Very
one
good.
more.
Mm.
Can I do it?
Voice. Sure. It's your turn.
X. X.
All right.
I
I'm
tried
going to
to
get an
get it all
easy
the
one. The one the
unvoiced.
babies learn early. Mama.
That's right.
It's so much fun to teach the little
Okay, I'm
ones
going to
these.
do the next one.
Very good.
J.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Seen it's been a while on some of these, so Y would be Y.
Yeah. A. Yeah. A.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This.
I.
I. 3 sounds. Yeah, I.
A. O. U.
Ooh.
It's gonna be hard ones for us.
So, and this, normally people say ku, but it's
Coo is the right way. Coo. Just like the dove says coo.
Coo.
Coo, coo, coo.
Okay. I'm gonna pass.
You, Say it once more with me. You, You can both say it.
I,
I.
oh,
You,
So 4.
This one
4
has 4.
sounds. You, Mm-hmm. My little schoolgirls used to look at each other and say, you.
It's so easy for children to learn.
They learned
So
this very
That's why
quickly.
we're thankful. Because it's easy.
But anyhow, doing this drill helps us to realize which are voiced and which are unvoiced sounds. So there is a reason.
We did
Why?
with the mirrors too.
What?
We used the mirror
Oh yes, the mirror to help see
them to
where you
realize.
put your tongue and
And
lips
they
and
really like
everything. But as we practice on these, we become aware of the sounds. And there's one reason why we do not make up songs for the phonograms other than just wanting that link to be as close and direct as possible between the letter and its sounds. We want it just right against each other. So we don't want to put drama and pictures and songs and everything between them. However, there's a really good reason, and that is because if you sing it, you miss the unvoiced sounds. You can't tell the difference. And you don't differentiate them, so you're not getting them as pure as you could. And getting them very purely helps the children really, here it is, helps the children really to be able to sound their words out sooner and more accurately. That's very helpful. But that's why we don't sing, have a phonogram song. It's for that reason. Okay. And then, of course, this one would be easy because we know our ball and stick letters. Right. But it's for the little ones when they're starting in on this one to compare, because see, the first game is printed. So this one kind of helps them. But this one is also a really good game to play. And this is characteristics of the letters when it comes to writing in cursive. So we have to look at these and see just how they work and think about it and see which letters will fit this description. And the easy ones, of course, are just the short letters. We don't give a lot of description on the short letters because they're less confusing for the children oftentimes. But some of these others that are different from manuscript, they get a little bit confusing. So let's just divide these up and give everyone a little bit of something and divide them up in 3 parts and see what we can do. Some for you, some for me. Let's see if we can find.
Are we starting with the easy ones or with the harder ones? Let's get all the easy ones.
I don't see a lot of difference in them. I think they're all kind of easy except for the short. I mean, the short's probably the easiest, but if you just look carefully, you can see.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll help you.
So,
Appreciate it.
we'll help you. Okay. Because the goal is to really learn them.
Learn together.
And yes, it's a
Well,
learning
and too,
game.
even if like when I made some mistakes, it's still an opportunity to learn.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Alessandra, why don't you start this time?
I have a tall with a cross.
Very good. And I have a tall with a short part. So I'm going to say,
And is it a good idea to make the sound when you do it too?
yes, please, all
Okay.
the sounds of the
Oh, is
letter,
this-
all of them.
Oh, this is interesting. Short with a tail and a dot. So that has to be,
You're right.
is it?
J.
J.
Mhm. Okay. Alessandra.
A short. S. K. S.
Whoops, you're backwards. Maybe you're looking at it upside down, but it should be k.
K. S.
Mm-hmm.
I did that.
Very good. Okay. Short.
I have tall with a short part.
Mhm.
Tall with a short part.
That
would be
means the
like
first stroke is
The
tall.
part,
Mhm.
like for example, the
tall
first
with a
is
short
tall.
top, like b.
Mhm.
Now I'll go on this one. Short with a tall part. So the first is short, and then the tall.
Comes
Oh, I
second.
see, as opposed to tall with a short part.
That's
That's right.
right.
Oh.
This helps with any
The orders.
people who have problem with dyslexia.
Yeah, and you know, I found that sometimes the B's and the D's can get mixed up. You know, as far as writing them, sometimes children will write their B backwards or their D
Yes.
backwards.
But that's why we
So this
explain
would
it in
help.
words, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, mine is short with a tail. I'm going to say it's yeah, it, I.
Very good.
So I have a tall, oh,
Very good.
Very good. That's the only one that fits on. Okay,
Okay. A tall with the tail.
very good. That's our longest letter because it's tall and it has a tail too. Okay, I have a short. E.
okay, I'm going to do a short. Er.
Mhm.
Oh, another short.
Okay, very good. And this one is a tall with a short part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What is the
let's do-
sound?
Oh, k. Sorry.
I have a short.
Very good. Another short. Mm. Oh, I have a shorts now.
You have only shorts. Well, I
You
could
need some
train you.
variety.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, this is a two-letter one. It has a short with a tail and a short.
Mm-hmm.
Ku.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, I have another short. G. J.
There will be,
Yeah.
but has a tail.
Oh no, so it does. What was I thinking? How about S. Z.
Very good.
Right.
So I'll do that one. Short with a tail. G. J. This one does it.
I have a short with a dot. I.
Sometimes, you know, it's a little harder than it looks because you have to not just be thinking about the letter, but also the sound you have to make once you put the car on.
That's right. It's a
Okay,
double
so
exercise.
yeah, so a,
Very
All
good.
right.
short.
Another short.
Very good.
Okay. I'm trying to avoid the sounds that I don't want to make. Want to try?
Here you go.
Try this one.
Okay,
then.
I'll do
Okay.
the x.
All right.
You like that one?
Okay,
Another
mine
short.
is a tail with a short part. Tail
Tail
with a short part.
Okay, so I have a short, so I'm going to attempt you.
Very good. Ooh.
Ooh.
Right. Very good.
Okay, and I have the ooh.
Very good.
And then
There's
short
one
with the
more.
tail.
Very good. It's kind of fun though,
Yeah.
but it stirs your brain to think now, how is this letter formed? Because the shaping for the first one that's in manuscript has a couple letters that are different than this. And so that's why we have them a little different.
They also get used to the vocabulary that you are using the names when you're describing the letters.
Mhm.
So when they're writing, you can reinforce those. The tail, the forward tail, the backward tail, or the tall letter. So
Short letter.
short letter.
Mhm. It all helps with the spelling and the handwriting. All right. So shall we go on to the other game now, I think, because if we don't, our time is going to be up, and we need to do some other things still. But anyhow, this gives you an idea of the thinking process that these induce, and that's the point, is to help our children learn, or adults learn.
And to make it
together.
enjoyable.
Yes, and it's fun working together because it gives us a little more experiences of life. Okay, now this game is all of these sounds and all of these sounds. So it's a much larger game. And it has two parts, and we can play them individually, or we can play them all together if we wish. But I think we'll just play it individually this time, because you can see how to do it all together if you get it individually. Okay. So these are the advanced sounds, and these are the basic. These are advanced. Well, it doesn't say basic, but it must be basic. And this is, no, these are the advanced. Okay, we didn't get those numbers for some reason. I mean, they're written basic and advanced. Okay, so, again, how many sounds does it make? And the phrase that goes on it. And if you can't figure out the phrase, then here's your cheat sheet. Okay?
I might need that.
There's your cheat sheet. Yes. So,
Maybe you should teach us all in a little copy.
let's see. And we can look at this. Okay, so, which one shall we do? Numbers or phrase? or this is voiced or unvoiced. And that's also helpful. But they're almost all voiced. There's just a few that are unvoiced in this.
Let's do the numbers.
This one? Okay, let's do the numbers first. Tom's going to get away with
What
this
is
one.
the phrase one does again?
The phrase, it differentiates them from one another. Now,
No phrase.
they have no phrase if there's only one phonogram that makes that sound. So R, there's ones that say there's ones that say R, but there's no other that says R. So there's only one, so there's no phrase with it. This one has no phrase because there's no other letter or phonogram that makes ch, k, sh. And the same with this one. So anyhow, the ones that have no phrase are the ones that there's no other phonogram that makes exactly the
So
sounds.
like this two-letter N, that would be phrased because there's also the letter N, correct? So they both say the sound of N. Is that what you mean by phrasing?
No, the phrase is this
Oh, I see.
line. This has no phrase, this has no
Gotcha.
phrase, this has no phrase, and this has no phrase, but this one does have a phrase.
Okay.
That one.
So those are the phrases
Uh-huh.
we are looking for.
Right. So there's your cheat sheet. there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So now these, I think we'll just hand them out some this way and make them available. That would make it less fun. Oh,
I was excited about 6 because I think there's only one.
there is, and you probably know which one it is, don't you? So you can let her have it.
Do you want to say it, that one?
Is it ow, oh, ow, ah, ooh, Is that
I
right?
think
Yeah.
that's the,
Ow, oh,
Ow, or oh,
oh,
ooh,
ooh,
uff,
uff,
off,
off,
ah, ow.
ow.
It's been so
That's
long, I
right.
get off.
oh, ooh, uff, off, oh, oh. That's the one I think of as a style. And so you go oh, ooh, uff. So at the top you have a sound. Off, aw, ow. So uff and off are right there at the top. Go over the pants. Oh, ooh, uff, off, aw, ow.
I think I was confusing it with another one.
I think you confused it with this one a
Yeah.
little bit. Okay. Okay, Alessandra, your turn.
are we supposed to say the phrase too, or just the sound?
You can say the phrase too if it has a phrase.
Okay.
But if it doesn't have a phrase, then we don't.
Start with the easy ones. Shh.
Mhm. And this is the most common sh, so we don't have a phrase for it. It's just very, very common. Okay. So now my turn. Ooh, you, oh. Ooh, you, oh.
A, I.
Yes. Not A-A-I, but
It's E,
E.
E, A.
E-A-A. There you
Maybe
go.
because it's upside down, I'm doing.
I think so. It is a little confusing for you there.
I'm going
Okay,
to
so
do
E is the most
the
common.
of her.
Very good.
Very good.
Okay.
A, the four-letter basic A.
Okay. The early.
Very good. Right. Is it my turn?
Uh-huh. No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gearing up.
Ow, o, oo, ah.
I, three-letter I. Is that, I lost again? Yeah, I, the three-letter I.
Mhm.
the of first.
Okay. J, the three-letter J.
Okay, k, the tall letter k.
Tall letter. The two-letter.
The two letter.
Did I hear wrong? I
I
heard
probably say it wrong.
wrong. Okay.
The two letter.
O, the O that we may not use at the end of English words. Two-letter O, sorry, the two-letter O that we may not use at the end of English words.
Okay, I'm going to do O, the two-letter O that we may use at the end of English words.
Okay.
Okay, the sh, the short sh.
AE that we may not use at the end of English words.
I'm going to do this one, and it's ch, k, sh.
Very good.
I only have one. Okay, double E that always says E.
Very good. Or,
Ed, past tense ending.
very good.
What is the tall? I want to do the tall sh.
Very good. Okay. E-I-F.
I'm going to do this one, sh, zh. If I can get one.
Actually, look for one that has three. Okay, maybe the.
It has a phrase, though.
So I have to say the phrase.
Yes.
Okay, the two letter.
Right. Oo, the oo that we may not use at the end of English words.
I'm going to do this one, the of church.
Okay. Okay, A, the two letter A, and the phrases that we may use at the end of English words.
The two-letter that we may use at the beginning or the end of a base word.
I'm going to do, it's one of my favorites.
So you don't blow the cards away.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it and then I thought,
Okay, now I'm going to say the A, the two letter A that we may not use at the end of English words.
The two-letter. No, it's not two.
I'm going to do the of worship.
Good. So we have two cards left, and you do too. We might have to
The
take
two
some.
letter
Okay. R.
I'm going to do AE that we may, where am I? Lost my place. That we may use at the end of English words. Thank you.
Very good.
Still looking for our 3-1. Okay, let's do this one, the 2-letter N.
That.
That has a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look for the phrase
Right here.
that that may be used at the beginning or the beginning of a base word.
The beginning of the base word. Ow, oh.
I'm going to do this one, which is ch, 3-letter ch.
Okay.
I'm struggling to find which one is missing. The oi that, okay, let's do the oi that we may not use at the end of English words, because English words does not end with I.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So maybe this one here will be the.
Okay. Ooh, oh. No. Ooh, oh. Is it?
Ooh,
oh.
oh.
Ooh, oh.
I was
thinking.
I was hoping to say that one.
Okay, I'm going to take yours, oi, that we do use at the end of English words.
Okay. You have to also be searching which one.
It's
that are
harder when it
left.
gets to the end.
Okay, this is the chew.
Mhm.
The
Right. Very good. Oh. This one.
You'll be one of the two
No, it's not. We made a mistake on one of the ones
no.
because otherwise this
Yeah.
would be. So we've
Because
got
they
to
only have
discover
one
which
sound.
Oh, this one
here.
is the one. Okay.
That we made a mistake.
Is it my
Mhm.
turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
E-I-F.
I was searching for a 3, I couldn't find one.
E-I-F. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to do aw, 2-letter aw that we may not use at the end of English words.
Okay,
Mhm.
so now we have an upside down hashish says the "a" that we may use at the end of English words.
Right. Yay. It's a little challenging, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially
That-
when you're out of practice.
Yes, I haven't practiced for quite a while either, but I got a 1 on there, and that was not lack of practice, it was facing it. Okay. So,
It's much easier for the children, especially if they're
They
drilling
learn
on
them.
them.
yes. Well, anyway.
But again, it puts it into an activity rather than just,
Mhm.
drilling from a card. And so
Mhm.
it makes it
Right.
enjoyable.
All right, so is that enough on the phonogram games? Or you want to do a little more? Okay. Now let's pick these up and put them away. And we still need to do that one too. Because the advanced are
Yes.
the least commonly used. We call them advanced not because they're harder, but because we don't use them as often. So that's why they call them
And that's on the
advanced.
back.
They're less important to learn, yes.
Okay.
So this would be the numbers for them. You just put
Yes,
this away.
right. These are ones we put away. Yeah. There's the numbers, the voiced or unvoiced, and the phrases.
There's a couple here that are so advanced, I'm not familiar with them.
Oh. Well,
You should mention about the videos.
mention about the videos?
Yes.
Oh, our
That you record-
phonograms?
yes,
I
that
think
you-
I did.
Okay.
Yes, but I'll say it.
Okay.
That is, we have a creation reading course website, and so you just put creationreadingcourse.com in, and it comes up pretty easily. And on there we have a video, and we have the phonogram sounds being pronounced on there, so you can listen and help train children, or just let them drill over and over to get familiar with them.
And practice.
Yes,
yourself.
they can practice saying it with,
She
with
says
them.
them really well. They recorded. She was saying the sounds.
Okay, a few of those here, a few of them there. Might need to give Amy a few more. And,
I think we should have the ones, and since she's more familiar, she should have the
Okay.
twos.
we'll share. All right. I'll start this time. Okay, 2. This one is AE, the AE of Caesar.
Okay. The true letter
It's the only 2-letter in the advanced phonograms. So I
I'm
think
gonna-
we use a phrase, the 2-letter N of pneumonia, just as to differentiate it from the 2-letter N of no,
No.
that we use at the beginning of a base word, or the 2-letter N of gnat and sign that we use at the beginning and end of a base word. So that's why we put a phrase on
Put
it.
a phrase on it.
So this is
Most of these have phrases.
ah, 2-letter ah of, like in Utah.
Right.
Okay, the true letter S, and the phrase is this of Psalms.
Right. Okay. Okay. Goo. No phrase, right?
I don't know, I'm still trying to get my next one in my brain. Okay, so this looks like it's I, 2-letter I of Hawaii.
Yes. Got it.
Okay, I'll do the Z. The Z of, how do you say, Xerxes.
Yeah, the Xerxes. Okay. Mine is the 2-letter T of ptarmigan.
Okay, I'm going to do the of martyr. Does that?
Mm-hmm.
And K, the true letter K of mosquitoes.
Good. Is Portuguese that way too?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the 2-letter S of scissors.
Okay, I'm going to do this one, and it's the 4-letter A of straight.
Okay, I'll do the the true letter of rhyme.
The 3-letter of courage.
I'm going to do O, the 2-letter, is that pronounced O, of chauffeur. And that's here, it's A.
Okay, let's do the K, the true letter.
I don't think it has a phrase.
Don't have a phrase.
It's cocoon. Almost sounds like a cocoon. Cocoon. Okay. O, the 3-letter O.
Okay, I'm going to do this one, and it's aw off. Is that right?
I think. Aw,
Aw
Oh,
off. Sorry, like in laugh.
Yes. And daughter.
Okay. I need to find one that has two sounds now that it has no.
I see it.
You do?
It's not covered.
It's not covered?
No.
All right. Maybe I'll pass my turn now.
Here's this one. I haven't been able to figure it out. It's the letter J of Hebrew origin. What's the sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in
But that's only one sound.
Yahweh.
It's only one sound. Hallelujah.
Oh, see, I have one.
Maybe I'll do one sound and then I'll keep thinking on one that have two sounds.
Okay.
Let's do the ya. The
Okay.
ya of Hebrew origin.
Okay. I'm going to do ja, the ja of pigeon.
Ooh, you. Oh, I don't have
Go
to.
ahead.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm just trying to find something. Ooh, you.
Very good.
It was like that. It's the. Okay,
You can do
I want to
that.
do the bouquet. My
Oh,
daughter, the
bouquet.
crochet.
Crochet.
The A.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the two letter A of crochet.
Yes. Okay. The G of ghost.
Okay, we still have.
I'm going to do this one, which is I, the two-letter I of, yes, I of Cayenne.
And then I think the last one is J, the two letter J of region.
Very good. It's
Those
kind
are
of fun. You
harder.
can see them. It is.
Without this,
Because
you
we're not
will
so
It'll be
familiar.
impossible.
We're not so familiar with them, right? They're a little more
It's been a while.
less commonly used, but still, when you need them and when you meet them, it's really nice to know. Because when I was young, I was never taught this three-letter O in my phonics, and several of the others too. But it's really nice. All right, so we played one of each of these games, but you can see how it goes. And the goal is to be able to put them right down, smackety smack smack, and get those phrases out and all the sounds in order, and then you have it. But it's kind of nice for a family game, or just with some of your friends. Children can learn to play it together. All right, thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Whoops. Let's this way. So our time is getting away from us maybe, but we needed to show you what's in the kit. Yes, I'm not sure if this is organized. Is it? Oh, thank you. All right. Now we would like to show you what's in the kit. The games are separate from the kit. The sand letters are separate from the kit. But in our kit, we have many ingredients. Okay. The preparation manual is our largest book, but it's the most essential, actually. And this book has a lot in it. Many of the things that we discussed today are explained in here more thoroughly than I've gone over. And so that's the first 4 chapters, and I've hardly touched on the 4th chapter in what we've gone over today, but a little bit. But these first chapters in here, I'll just read the titles. The first is the foreword. We call it First Steps. This is to encourage you to get right into doing it and not to delay. Because even if your child is a baby, get yourself busy, because parents need to prepare, right? So you know which way you're going to guide the children. And do it wisely in the fear of God, and plant good seeds so their destiny will be good. But then the second section in here is called our philosophy. And our philosophy is not the worldly philosophy, but it's a godly philosophy based on God's Word. So don't let the word philosophy make you think it's just vain philosophy or deceit, because we are trying to bring out the truths of God's Word. And we have 4 chapters in this section. 1 is reading, problems we face, solutions we need. You'll remember some of the things we said about the problems we have today. This is largely from this chapter. And then chapter 2 is fiction, friend or foe. We've had a few comments on fiction, but not much. But this chapter will give you a lot to think about. Chapter 3 is the Bible as a reader. Is it really practical to have the Bible for a beginning reader? Or do we just need to wait until people really learn to read well, and then you can read the Bible? I taught a junior class where the children, that was 10 to 12-year-olds once, and I had only 1 child out of 8 that could read the Bible enough to not be embarrassed to read in Sabbath school. So we really need to learn to read the Bible early, I would say, because we're told children need to know the scriptures for themselves and not just depend on parents or preacher or pastor, evangelist to teach them. They need to read it personally so they can know Christ as their personal Savior. So I feel it's very important to start early. And this is why we have created our little beginning readers here. We have In the Beginning, From Firmament to Seasons, and Abundantly Blessed. These 3 readers help the child to get right into Bible reading as soon as they get their phonograms and just their single alphabet letters learned, right? That's how we did it. And so the children don't feel like they're delayed a long time from getting into God's Word. And we don't want them to be, do we? We want them to get right in there. And so in here we have a progress checklist so that you can keep them learning in a streamlined way, not getting out of step or confused, but you know just what to have them do next. And that carries you through all of these readers. And then inside we have various pictures to illustrate what we are reading about. But if you look at these pictures, you are not going to be able to tell what it says on the page, right? Just by the picture. Like this picture doesn't just say bed, night, or moon. It talks about some other things. So you can't really tell by the pictures, but the pictures do emphasize the message, and that helps comprehension. So we start with a very simple vocabulary. The child learns 8 words in their first lesson, and there aren't very many lessons here that have that many words in it. But the first one, we work on 8 words first. And then they can read Genesis 1:1 when they finish their story here. And that is very thrilling to the children. They actually know every word in that verse. And they love it. Okay. Little eyes brighten up. And then the second one goes from the second day through the through the 4th day. 2nd through 4th days. Again, we have the checklist, and we have pictures, new words, new sounds at every lesson. And this is where most children are sure to know how to read by the time they finish this little book. We haven't had any get to this one. But again, the same program where they learn new sounds, the multi-letter phonograms, new words, and they keep moving into reading, much more complicated reading, because we feel free to draw on any of the previous words that we want to use to explain what we're writing about now. So the Bible as a reader, yes, it can be used not just for a later reader, but for a very beginning reader. And it's been working well for the children. And then chapter 4 in here is the right way to spelling. And this explains the whole overview of Jesus as our example. He wrote the law with his finger before his incarnation. After, when he was on earth, he wrote with his finger too, in the soil, didn't he, or whatever. He stooped down and wrote on the ground. So Jesus is our example, and we can write in duff or snow too. And it's fun to do that out of doors or in the sand beside the river or lake. And we talk about when writing began. First part of Earth's history, there was no writing because people's memories were so retentive. They didn't need what we need now, but we really do need writing now to preserve knowledge and to gather knowledge from past generations. And about cures for dyslexia, our models for our shapes for left-handed, right-handed, and printing. And it just goes through all the things to prevent dyslexia that we can do as teachers, as parents. There are many pointers. And if we pay attention to all of those, I do not believe we're going to have any dyslexic children. I really do. Because I've seen those who had strong dyslexic tendencies, dyslexic parents who've been turned right around, and they're doing fine. Some of them love to read now, they tell me. So that is our philosophy part. This is the way we're doing it and why we're doing it. Okay, now the next chapter, chapter 5, is the oral preparation for writing and reading. This starts from babyhood and gives you little things you can do with them, like learning animal sounds, relates to the animal, says moo, let's say. And I have pictures, I'm not sure just where they are right now, of the animal, of the various animals. But I hold them up and have the children tell me what sound the animal makes, not what the name of the animal is. So that's helpful. And then we translate that into these letters are like the animals, and they each make their own sounds. So that works. Okay. And read the importance of correct grammar in the home and reading aloud to your children, and how that helps them desire to read as well as instructs them in many things. And we need to teach them what's right and what's wrong, and to love to work and overcome obstacles. Many children give up on work because no one's there right when they need a little help to help them over a little bump of difficulty. So if we help them, that's a wonderful part of their education. So they can persevere and overcome. Then there's the phonogram alphabet they can learn, like we've been talking about, orally from babyhood. And it'll just be like part of their lingo. It will just come so easily as they get older, and we really want to get in and drill on them with the handwriting. And then we have various things about posture, good posture, the organs of speech and how we should use them, distinct speech. God has made man upright. We're told among the first things to be aimed at should be a correct position both in sitting and in standing. It's a challenge sometimes, but it's very important. This is why we want to have the desk and the chair the right size for a child, not leave them with their feet dangling, or have it so low or high that it makes it difficult for them. And next in importance to a right position is how we breathe. We need to breathe deeply. And that's one blessing of singing. They say that real singers breathe about 6 or 8 times as much as non-singers or poor singers. So that's very interesting. That's where there's a clue, is in that deep breathing. And it helps promote digestion, circulation of blood, helps us sleep better if we breathe deeply. There's so many benefits. It soothes us. It's almost like a tranquilizer to breathe deeply. And then we go through voiced and unvoiced sounds, where we put our organs of speech, like our tongue and our teeth and our lips, to make various sounds. Some you make come through your nose, some back here, some up here. So more like I and ah, I say kind of up front in my mouth, but g, way back there. You can feel your throat resonate as you say some of those sounds. And there's lip shaping. Sometimes your lips are very relaxed. Sometimes they are pulled kind of tight for certain sounds. Sometimes your lips are closed. And sometimes you do it the same way, but open your lips and you get right? And so all of this, if it's explained to the child, it helps them have more control of what they are personally trying to do. Okay, so after we become aware of these things, then we can better listen for the phonemes too. We want to get this phonemic awareness. So we have a list here with many words that each contain one phoneme. And we want to hear those. In English, we just have 44, 45 phonemes, depending on how you pronounce it. I just go with 44 because we don't have, in our area of the country, we don't seem to have the ah and the aw or something like the British and some of the Easterners, Southerners, I'm not sure. So we just leave it simple with 44, but it could be expanded some if you are into differentiating that aw sound. Then we do compound words and blending sounds, pulling apart, putting them together, all in oral exercises. And we tell stories, we follow instructions, we count syllables in a word, right? Swinging arm. And then numbers, do counting, skip counting, reading numbers on a tape measure, on a ruler, on the clock. Play store, and all of these things, all in oral pre-reading exercises. And the children love this. They don't even feel like they're having school, but it really puts them ahead, and they can learn this before they actually need to sit down and do the writing. But toward the end of this chapter, we have things to do to prepare for writing. And they can do this at any time. This chapter 5 is not strictly organized. You don't do it just necessarily in this order, but you can mix learning the phonograms with mixing, learning some numbers and learning some drawing and coloring, and just do it as you feel your child is able to do it. And it's pleasant for them. It's not burdensome at all, but joy. But it gives you ideas what you can do. And at the same time, in the very back of the preparation manual, we have a whole section here on nature, art, and suggested nature and art activities to coordinate with Creation Week. Well, you could say you need to wait until you do this, but sometimes they go so quickly through it, you don't have time to do all those projects. At least that's the way I found it. And so, start in while they're doing the oral exercises in doing the easiest projects for any of the days. But the easiest ones, the ones that seemed that they would appeal to them. And then these pre-writing skills come in because the child needs to strengthen their fine motor ability before they're put to writing, or it can be very discouraging. But if they strengthen them by freehand drawing, by modeling clay or bread dough, or working with clothespins, or just various little things, their hands gain control to do fine motor skills. And then when they get onto their handwriting, it's far more encouraging. And they can move along in it as soon as their eye learns to see where to go, and they understand the stroking. And then when they finish the oral exercises, our next chapter is scheduling and plans. And that's what we kind of went over with the 4 books. But that schedule you need to have as a parent for all the years, And we all need to observe those for our own learning and edification, is to mix them. But these schedule plans can be very, very important for us, because many parents can say, I have no time to teach my children, no time to read my Bible, no time to teach them how to work, no time to listen to their memory work. We can have no time. Why? Or doing other things, right? That's the issue. And so if we don't have time, we need to think, what are our priorities? Are our children more important than whatever? And if not, why? What will it mean to us if we aren't ready for heaven, but we've done a whole bunch of other things? It's not going to mean a lot. And if we're not ready, can we prepare our children to be ready? It's very unlikely. So that's why we need to prioritize. Christ regarded every moment as precious. Life is too short to be trifled away. We have but a few days of probation in which to prepare for eternity. Really, we do. Sometimes I wish I could live 900 years to make my calling and election sure, like Adam and Methuselah and Noah. No, but God in his wisdom has given us a short space. But if we will focus in on the essentials, it's long enough. It's long enough in a world of sin and pain, right? To prepare for heaven. So that's what we want to do in our few short days here. And I don't care if you're even 10 years old, you don't have very many days. Life is short. And so we want to use it wisely. And we need to be in a place where our children can get practical work. And it's really not that hard if you make it a priority to give them practical work and discipline them to it. So then there's a schedule, and there's our schedule that we shared in our handout. But there's also just a daily schedule of routine every family will do well to have. And that's a time to rise, time for worship, time for meals, time for bed. Right? And the child will get into that rhythm, and they will be more productive than if everything's topsy-turvy. You know? Because if they're used to going to bed at 10 or 12 or 2 in the morning, how can you expect them to be ready to go to bed at 6 in the evening or 8? I mean, you can't. If everything's topsy-turvy, it's just very upsetting to their rhythms. So we first need to make a family schedule, and then we can fit in creation reading course. If you just give a good hour every day to sitting down study for those that are ready to write, they can make good progress. And gently, not rushing it, enjoying the process. But it needs to be routine, not just work hard for 2 weeks and then take 3 months vacation. That's not, not very acceptable for a child's growth. And this program can be so gentle. Even if your child studies all summer, an hour a day, and works and gardens and everything the rest of the day, they're not being overstrained with study. And of course they'll have a little more for devotions and family worship, but little leisure time to read maybe once they learn how, but it's not going to stress them. But this routine is so helpful, and so we have that. And then in this chapter we also tell how to use the readers and how to expect the children to read. There's guidelines for them here. And then singing and memory work goes through all of that, how we go about it. And how we need to lay out the materials for each lesson. We have a list at the beginning of every lesson which materials can be used for that lesson and are needed to teach it with all the materials we have. So that works very well. So that is chapter 6, all this planning. And then chapter 7 is the last one for the child to do in this book. So they only have 5 and 7 to do in this book, other than the art and crafts. But you can make up your own on those too. And it depends on the season, it depends on the child's age. Okay, so time to write is the last one. And we could spend a whole seminar on just going through the handwriting step by step by step and illustrating it on the board and so on, and having the students sit down and do it. It's a lot of fun working with them. But this is where we have in our kit, I want to show you some of the things in the kit. For one thing, we have the Song of Creation, word for word, Genesis 1 by Wayne Hooper, that he wrote up specifically for us. We asked him to do it, and he said, no, I'm 80 years old, I have many other things to do. So he was ready to send it back, he said, and the Lord tapped him on the shoulder and said, do it for them. And I praise the Lord because we have enjoyed it a lot. And then we have it being sung, a CD, so you can, if you don't read music a lot or play an instrument, you can, learn the song from the CD. And so anyway. But we have, this is full of mostly handwriting helps. The slant sheets, the clocks, the guidelines and charts and dialogue outlines and everything in here. the phonogram charts here too. And we have gray sheets to help the child understand how to size their writing on the lines. But I don't leave them on gray sheets forever. We go just to the baseline, the upper guideline, and the lower guideline, and they need to write within that. But this helps them get the idea of how to space things. And the oblique clocks. They learn the round clock, but they also can do the oblique clock to help with the stroking, which very much parallels the round clock, except that it's elliptical. And then we have stroking cards for all the capitals. Right-handed, left-handed, and this tells on the back just how to stroke it in words. And the manuscript, of course. That's one thing I would leave largely till later, but anyway. And then we also have some little flashcards for our punctuation marks. When they start to read, they need to know their punctuation marks. And of course we have the stroking cards for right and left-handed in the lowercase too. Okay. And in here we have 3 sets of cards that are white. We have the Innumerable alphabet cards. We go one by one to teach the children the beginning, stroking and just to recognize the book print and so on. And we have the multi-letter phonograms. We start with the readers. And then we have the word cards. We start with the readers. And these word cards have everything on the back in certain lines that we do in word study. We don't have definitions back here of the word, and we don't have usage, but we have how to syllabicate them and how to mark them with the red so that it brings out the phonograms. And we do all that by the lavender sheet that's in the special instruction sheets. That lavender sheet tells you just how to mark the different features in the word. The silent sounds and the silent final E, Y, and all of that. And then we also put the spelling rules on the back of the cards. It's just a handy place to have them. And so after the children study these and write them and read them from their notebook, then we let them drill on these cards for quick recognition. And then they're able to read their story more easily. So I think I've shown you about everything in here now. So we have, it seems like a lot of repetition on the letters, but this is their most basic need, is to really get those letters correct, clear in their minds. And so we teach them in many ways. The writing is so crucial. We say it's the central thing in this approach. The writing is very, very central to their success and understanding of what they're doing. All right. So there's the kit. Now the games, if I couldn't get everything, I would rather get just the kit. But the games are really fun way to drill. And so that's why we've added them in, and also the sand letters. The sand letters help. But that's it on those. And then, let's see, what else did I have here? Yes. What? Probably. But I think that's the main things I had. Oh, well, it's already 20 to 6. We're late. But anyway, we should just close, okay? Shall we just have a word of prayer? Our kind Father in heaven, thank you for your love to us, for providing so many blessings and such simple things that can lead us into literacy and the ability to understand your word and many other things. Please bless us now this evening. Be with each one who has been watching, and may these few words be blessed to their use and their understanding. Thank you so much for Jesus, that he came to die, to give us an example also, and to work through his Holy Spirit to prepare us. So we just want to consecrate our lives to you anew and walk in your ways. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.